everyone to the Primeval Cast Special, Episode 1. I am your host, Matrixlord212, and I'm with Louie. What's up, Louie?
Hiya, how you doing?
All right, so as you know, we got the Primeval Cast, and these specials are basically going to focus on each individual season. So being that we finished the first season, we're going to use this cast to just basically briefly talk about each episode here and there, and mostly talk about the finale for season 1. So I did miss having Louie on episode 6 of the cast. So
I
really want to
apologize for that.
I really want to get his opinion on here. So why don't we start off with Louie and whatever format you want to do, bro?
Should we go from episode 1 and just do a brief summary?
I mean, you could do that, yeah.
Yeah, well, episode 1 introduces the characters, introduces a concept of the series. It's quite a plot central episode with a bit of character development. I really enjoyed episode 1.
Me too.
I like the creatures. I like the way it sets up the series. Lots of questions to be answered. Lots of mystery, and really, it really does its job in making you want to watch on.
The characters have depth. They really are special in their own right. I mean, Professor Nick Cutter is from the school, the college, whatever, and he is has his friend Stephen Hart, and he was very devastated because 8 years ago his wife disappeared, and you really didn't know too much about what goes on with their marriage and stuff like that, and what the heck she was doing. I mean, the episode starts off with her being chased by that dinosaur. Yes, and then it gets on where we're introduced to Connor Temple, who is Professor Cutter's student that never really shows up for class, and he wanted him to investigate something that happened at the Forest of Dean, and that's exactly where his wife Helen Cutter went missing. So that brings that trio into it. Then we also have Abby Maitland, who worked for the zoo, and she's like an expert with reptiles, and she was getting fired. So rather than her totally get fired, where they can somehow keep her in another program where they could reactivate her later on, her boss basically was going to reassign her to something else. And then she saw pictures of this interesting reptile that she's never seen before. So she immediately says, "Oh, could I take that case? Could I do that?" This kid had found a reptile in the Forest of Dean.
Forest of Dean.
Yeah. So I'll let you continue. Yeah.
No, sorry, it's fine. And I love the way the team all forms in this episode. Like you said, Abby. Connor kind of introduces the idea of this monster on the loose to Cutter, and Stephen he actually persuades Cutter when he mentions Helen would have investigated the case. So they all go, and then they bump into Abby, who's in the woods because she's with the dinosaur that Ben found, Ben the little kid.
And don't forget Claudia Brown.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, and then Cutter meets Claudia Brown at a hotel, and she's working with the government. She's part of the Home Office, and
her boss is Lester.
Yeah, Lester, the boss. He gets them all signed up to the Secret Service, secret what's it called? The Secret Act or something, and they can't mention it to anyone. And you get Captain Tom Ryan, is it Ryan?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The soldier, and they go through an anomaly to find Helen.
Well, basically, we're introduced to the anomalies for the first time. The anomalies basically are like a doorway into the past or the future, depending. And we're first introduced. We don't know all this yet, but we're introduced that it goes into the past, and we start learning more and more and more. Basically, sets the stage that there needs to be an organization that's going to monitor these anomalies and protect the people from these dinosaurs that are popping up.
Yeah, which at the minute in this series is the Home Office.
Right.
And whilst in the anomalies, they discover a camp. Someone's been there before. There's a body. And it really, you're like, oh God, what is that? Helen's body? Like, what?
Who is that? Yeah. Is there people in there before? Is there organizations in there? We don't know.
It really sets your mind going. Cutter comes out of the anomaly. Rex comes through as well, unbeknown to the team, apart from Abby. Abby takes him back.
And Rex is a reptile, yeah.
Yeah, Rex is a dragon that Ben had. They go back to the home office. Lester tries to like wrap it up as a one-off. Cutter's his whole all his theories have been turned on their head. He's completely like, this has opened a whole new door to him. His wife might still be alive, and he's not letting it go. And he says that this is just the beginning. And it's a really eerie scene at the end of the episode where he's in his laboratory and he hears a noise, and there's a creature on his desk, like a fossil, and like a tentacle comes out, and he runs and he sees someone running, and turns out to be his wife, and she's kind of teasing him.
Right.
And
well,
she
you
just
think at the
disappears.
point it's his wife. I mean, it could be a hallucination. We don't know until later on that it's confirmed. But
it's creepy.
Yeah.
But that's all I can really say on episode 1, because we've done our reviews of episode 1.
Yeah, I mean, we could skip to 6 if you want. I mean,
yeah.
Each episode had the characters grow up. Connor was reckless and basically was just spilling the beans about what they were doing, and they got in a lot of trouble. He got fired, but then he got hired back. And he took things more seriously. He basically grew up, a little bit. And, the characters like Abby Maitland learned more than reptiles. She started getting into other types of animals and other things. Yeah, and then they started training, too, because, when you're going to be fighting creatures and stuff, like Abby starts to train and, like to fight. And the muscle really about it is Captain Tom Ryan, as well as Stephen Hart, who he always has the weapon ready to go, and Nick Cutter's the leader, So, I mean, it's a great team. They encounter different types of creatures, whether it be in the subway or, I guess, the London Underground. You had those creatures to, like, many different types that you have, on the golf course.
Got those creatures. As it's the final, as it's a special today, let me do a Q&A. Like, what was your favorite creature of the series?
I really like the finale creatures from the future.
The future predator.
Yeah, because I thought that was really awesome.
Were you expecting that twist?
I wasn't expecting them to like go into the future beyond man, I guess, to have that. That totally changed the whole type of element of the show, I thought. And I thought that opens up the door where you've seen all these specials on like National Geographic or these science channels and history channels about, future sharks, future this, future that, what they would look like. And, and it's like, oh, now the possibilities are endless. It's not just the creatures that are extinct. They could just make up stuff and, it would be okay. So I was happy with that.
Would you like future creatures to return in future series?
Absolutely. I think that, yes, you should do a little bit of everything, but I think it's definitely be even better to have creatures from the future, descendants of sharks or descendants of whales or whatever. I mean, I'm excited about that.
Awesome. In the series, it's obviously still talking about the creatures. There's lots of different creatures in the series, all different time periods, different varieties of creatures. If you could possibly have one of them return in a future series, not including Rex, would there be a creature?
I think the one from the first one,
the Gorgonopsid.
Yeah, because that's basically their first encounter. So I would have them return as well.
Awesome. Would you have the future predator return, or?
I would think that it would have to return, being that we know what happened. I mean, you could talk about that a little bit.
Oh, what with the future predator possibly being the thing that wipes out man?
Well, the future predator that we seen in episode 6 had, because that was
Oh, I know what you're talking about now. The Claudia Brown incident.
Yes.
Yeah, this is a good point.
I got to tell you,
Six.
I'm very unhappy about that situation
Is
because
that
they made
annoyed
a
you?
very likable character of Claudia Brown. And you kind of felt sorry for the professor, and now he's finally going to be happy, moved on from Helen. And then it's like she gets erased from existence, which it wasn't just that, though. It was other stuff because, and it makes your mind wander. What did you think about that? Because you guys got my opinion.
Yeah, well, I remember watching it as a kid 10 years ago. Next year it'll be
Right.
watching it live, and I remember sitting down, and he comes back through the anomaly. Ryan's just died. That was a shock. I was, oh my god, he's dead. That was a really nice twist, by the way, of the whole paradox at the camp. I wasn't
Yes,
expecting that.
that Ryan was the dead body that he saw
And
his younger self.
he
Yeah.
touched his dead, he touched his bones.
Yeah.
That was really cool. Basically, what happens in the past is in the Permian era, two of the future creatures aren't eaten by the Gorgonopsid, and they think they are, and they survive, which could mean anything. It could mean that they they could just kill another dinosaur that was supposed to eat a plant, and that plant had the bacteria to create humans. It's ridiculous. Like anything could have happened. Like there's so many different possibilities of what they could affect in the past. There was two of them as well. They could be brother and sister, and they could technically breed, and there could be a whole group of predators in the past. That could be another thing. There's so many different possibilities, but whatever happened in the past created an alternative timeline when they went back through the anomaly, and I guess Cutter and Helen weren't affected by that because they were in the
Well, what I
past.
find interesting is when Nick was talking to them, Abby said that they moved out of the home office ages ago.
Oh yeah, that's in episode 7 of
Right.
series
Well,
2, episode 1.
Right, and the thing is that if that was the case, what could have been altered was the fact that they all came together earlier than usual.
Yeah, like
And
that's
they
the thing.
established like this place to develop the arc or whatever. So that's the whole point. That the only thing was probably altered was the fact that the anomalies were appearing before, and they had other adventures before that, possibly. But then again, maybe not, because basically everything is intact about how they came together, with the exception of Claudia Brown's existence.
Or it could have been when she said we moved out of that place ages ago. They could have just been in it for like a couple of days or a couple of weeks and then moved on after. Like it's so vague, and I kind of like that it's vague because I like when I first saw the Claudia Brown disappearance when he came back through, and Stephen's affair with Helen was exposed. I wasn't expecting. Well, like I knew there was something going on, but I wasn't expecting.
I wasn't expecting he was the student. And then I wasn't expecting, because he was close with the professor all along, that he would do that. But then again, things happen when it comes to like a female.
To have an affair with his best friend was harsh, and I was like, Stephen, I never kind of forgave Stephen. After I
think that kind of turned Abby away from him too.
Yeah,
because originally she was wanting to hook up with him, and then once that happened, it was like, oh. And then even the mention of his girlfriend that's in the rainforest. Technically, he considered her his girlfriend, I guess. So
I think that girlfriend in the rainforest could have been Helen.
Yeah, so that's kind of like odd. You're talking about her like your girlfriend, and meanwhile she's married. So I kind of get it that he was kind of did the wrong thing, and we'll talk about that in future episodes. But
next episode where we do episode 1 of series 2, we can discuss that a bit more. So
but going forward, from seeing that, I said to myself, okay, you didn't really know what was going on. You didn't know if the anomaly was like everything was. Right away I pictured like Back to the Future, everything fading, okay, and him jumping back in anomaly. That's not what the case is, but we'll talk about that in the episode 7. And I basically came to some conclusions like, okay, he's going to fix the timeline. Claudia Brown's going to be alive. There's no doubt in my mind. This is going to happen. This is going to happen. Maybe this is something going on. And then, when you create these things like, all right, this is what you think is going to happen, and then it's totally different. So, which I'll talk about on another cast.
Yeah, we'll do that next. We'll do that next.
Yeah.
I don't want to go into a certain person.
I thought the episode 6 was great. There was one episode that was more character development when Claudia Brown became blind. You know?
Oh, episode 5.
Yes. Of the whole season, episode 5 was lesser than, the other ones, but I did enjoy it a lot because I said, all right, there's room for that. That unique character development and stuff like that. Pretty much, I didn't have a problem with any really episodes, even the Dodo one. Everything was fresh, and I felt needed to be told. So I was basically happy with every single episode of season 1. Even the 5th episode, which was lesser than the other ones, but still, I was completely satisfied.
I can completely agree with that. For me personally, it's not episode 5 that's a lesser episode. For me, episode 2 is the weakest. Still a great episode by all means, but for me, it's probably where I've seen it so many times. But it drags.
Well, why don't you describe it a little bit to refresh people?
It's the episode in London Underground with the insects.
Yeah, right.
I just found it a bit of a continuation of episode 1 with the whole Helen.
Because is that the one where Steven gets
Steven gets
and poisoned and stuff like that, and then she teases that she's there, so then that she's alive, Helen, and now Nick has to prove it because Steven saw it. He don't think it was hallucination. So I like that episode. Yes.
No, it's a good episode. Good episode. But for me, it's not my favorite.
Right.
My favorite of this series is either episode 1. I love them all. Like 1 is out of just some highlights. Episode 1, obviously the introduction. Episode 3, the first interaction properly with Helen and Cutter. Yeah. At the beach. Episode 4 is very emotional. Connor's friend dies. It's a weird.
That was
episode.
Amazing.
It starts off comedic with dodos.
And that was amazing, though.
You think it's going to be like a funny episode, a laid back.
I thought he was going to live, to tell you the truth.
Yeah, and then he dies.
I didn't know he was going to die. Yeah.
It's a big dark twist, and it really sets up Connor. Episode 5, like you said, a bit comedic, a bit character development, but a great nonetheless.
Great
episode
episode,
6.
Basically, if every episode was a 10, that was a 9 to me.
Yeah.
It's not really, I mean, you can't really say, that was it, really.
I agree. Episode 6, for me, sets up Series 2. It's like a bomb, and they let that bomb off in episode 6.
Right.
And Series 2 is dealing with that.
We're not going to really talk too much. We'll do that on the other cast, though.
Yeah. So I'll leave it there. It there.
And I would suggest, all you new fans out there to check out Primeval, and to really see the episodes first before you see our cast, because I don't want to ruin it for you. So this basically was the first special that deals with season 1. And now, we'll do it in order. Episode 7, of course, will be the first episode of season 2. And we'll have each number according to the actual episode count number. So that way it's easiest. And when we're done with the seasons, special 2 will be the season 2 special. So, all right, guys? Yeah.
Sorry, isn't it true we're going to have some new members as well?
Yes. Well, the thing is, we're a lot of stuff is happening. So we are getting new members. So some of the members of the Rebel Beans cast are going to be watching the episodes, and they're going to be joining us at a later date. Also, Louie has friends of his own that are going to be joining. So that's going to be fantastic.
Can't wait.
Yes.
Onwards and upwards to episode 7.
Right. All right, guys. Thank you very much. Take care. Bye for now.
Bye, guys.